You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The leading listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. We have seen Kim Foxx at the helm of the case against R. Kelly, enforcing an indictment against him based on the drama she watched in the documentary that only sought to turn the world against the R&B King and to have his music muted. Kim Foxx herself confessed that it was indeed the TV show that triggered a deeper investigation from which she found it necessary to place charges. Every time Kim Foxx is asked questions to do with why she was quick to think she should come to the aid of the R. Kelly accusers, she never forgets to remind the viewers how she too was a victim of abuse back in her younger days, and how because of this she knows what it feels like, and the difficulty in coming out to speak publicly about it.
I didn't talk about my abuse for years. When I was assaulted by two strangers, I didn't call the police.
What she forgets is that R. Kelly too is a real victim of abuse from the past, but on the record, she has done completely nothing that shows she understands his situation and how this could have affected his life growing up. So while she has time and again attempted to make the world think she is the champion of abuse who truly understands the effects and challenges it can cause one's life, she does not seem to think a young boy like R. Kelly was many years back could also be abused by women, and if she does, she just hasn't felt it necessary to help him but lock him up instead. The outgoing district attorney also doesn't seem to realize that women can gang up with the intention to extort and destroy a man, especially when promised restitutions in hundreds of thousands. All the champion and master of abuse has done since 2019 has been castigate a man who, if she was truly abused in her childhood like she suggests, she should be able to feel for. She has instead handed R. Kelly to the dogs to bite as they may please with no sense of empathy whatsoever. The outgoing DA, who just want to empathize with a would-be fellow victim, did not hesitate to break whatever laws came in her way, just to ensure she locked him up behind bars, hopefully for the rest of his life. But she expects us to believe that she too was a victim and that she does understand what it means to be one of them, and yet she instead chose to side with the likes of Lisa Van Allen, who lied twice under oath and numerous times on various media platforms like she did when she was hosted on Vlad. Kim Foxx expects us to believe she was a victim herself but was able to connive with the BOP officers to illegally leak a fellow victim's restricted calls and emails, and share with not only with blogger Tasha K to relay them to the general public, but also to the family of accuser Azriel Clary, such that she could win her over as a government witness. Meanwhile, with the newly unearthed text message evidence that shows conversations between mother and child, there is empiric proof that this family, for which Ms. Foxx found it necessary to violate her fellow victims' privacy, was all along lying on most of their claims. The truth we know now is that the Clary parents technically pushed their own daughter to be with R. Kelly and went as far as lying to him she was 18. Something he would never imagine was a lie, considering these were her real biological parents, and that she possessed with her an ID that said she was actually 18. It wasn't R. Kelly demanding that she travel to California to join him on tour. It was on her own will and with her own mother's encouragement that she did this. Poor Kim Foxx, who wants us to believe she is the expert of how to be a victim, just can't seem to tell between a real victim and a scammer. We would have expected her to know better than anyone else the importance of a victim's privacy when it comes to their communications. Instead, her office cooperated with the unlawful BOP officers to leak his privacy to the general public. As if she had not done enough, Kim Foxx, she wouldn't even do anything in her capacity to make sure her fellow victim receives the appropriate due process in court, when she instead opted to protect her own office at R. Kelly's expense. Remember, one of the lead government prosecutors, who goes by the name Angel Kroll, until today is missing from the radar after she violated many of Mr. Kelly's rights and abused her job in ways we have explained before. It's a shocker to learn that the so-called victim by experience thinks it's okay for her to protect an erroneous prosecutor from her office against the benefit of a fellow victim. I guess Ms. Foxx ought to remember that victims do feel for fellow victims, and are not expected to act contrary to this principle in the interest to protect liars and extortionists who target them. She may say she never knew R. Kelly was a victim in his childhood, but who doesn't know this by now? It's now common knowledge for the whole world that R. Kelly was abused as a child by one of his siblings, and this is not something the self-appointed expert of victimism doesn't know. She may also suggest she didn't know these women were lying, but victims are usually quick at identifying fellow victims from among the usual scammers. It has never been rocket science to tell between real victims and pretenders, especially if one has gone through a similar experience. If Kim Foxx is a real victim like she suggests, I am not sure she will be able to recover from the guilt of having been involved in the unfair indictment of a fellow victim of abuse who needed help, and instead had him locked up in prison to serve a wrongful sentence of 31 years, which is in the real sense is a lifelong sentence for Mr. Kelly. Considering he is now 56, if Robert has to serve 31 years in prison, he will be getting out when he is 87, which is technically a life sentence in the making a fellow victim wished him. She will always remember every single day of her life that she was part of the making of this ugly movie of life, where a childhood victim of sexual abuse was wrongfully convicted of alleged crimes against pretenders, blackmailers and extortionists with backgrounds of lying on the media, and even to the honorable courts of law under oath. The good news is she will not have to feel this guilt for life, as R. Kelly will soon regain his freedom and return to his music business. This is her only hope to return to a life with not much to regret. When you point a finger at the R&B king, you better be sure about your accusations, for it will haunt you for the rest of your life, knowing you almost put a stop at all this great music he has made and is yet to make for millions around the world, all in the name of crimes he didn't commit. Meanwhile, Kim Foxx has her own flaws that she should have reflected on before prejudicing the R&B king. The whole world now knows that in her own capacity, Kim Foxx almost killed her own husband when she battered him at their home in an act of violence that prompted 911 to respond immediately. Thankfully, the rescue team found when the attack had to escalate it and saved the situation. No one would have expected a person like Kim Foxx to take the lead in crucifying a fellow victim like she did R. Kelly. Unless she was only lying that she too is a victim who understands what it means to go through what R. Kelly went through during his childhood. According to Donald Wright, yes, Miss Foxx thought she could simply resign and be off the hook from this case, but look how karma is following her even at her exit. She ought to know that in this life, we are accountable for each and every statement we make, everything we do, and even everything we oversee. I wouldn't have expected a woman who claims to be a victim herself to be this insensitive to a fellow victim of childhood abuse, and instead team up with a group of mature adult women who have histories of lying under oath against him. According to Angela Smith, Kim Foxx is looking a little stressed out. If you looked at her at the beginning of this case and now, you will notice a big unrealistic difference over a short span. She was chunky then, but now, she looks like she won't make it to 60. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to lfnmedia15@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.